All right, JohnnyCast Sports Show episode 5. Let's get right into it. We got March Madness running hot right now. It's actually halftime of the Marquette-Michigan State game as we're recording this, so I want to get back to it relatively soon. Marquette somehow finds its way back in the game, down 5 at halftime, thankfully, after Kopech goes down with 2 fouls early. I love Tom Izzo teams, but unfortunately, I have Marquette in my bracket. I got Marquette playing Bama in the Final Four, and I have Gonzaga playing Miami in the right side of that, which is, I mean, who knows, but Miami is going up against Indiana later tonight, as well as Gonzaga playing TCU. So it's going to be a fun night. But I'm going to talk about a little bit more about March Madness in a little bit. I want to start this episode off with World Baseball Classic talk because it is getting me actually sick to my stomach what's going on. Yesterday, Altuve now gets hit by a pitch. He goes down, breaks his thumb now. He is out indefinitely. I'm sure Houston loves that news, but I was never able to address the Edwin Diaz situation. So Edwin Diaz, we all know, goes down with a freak injury. I get it. It could have happened anywhere, but it didn't happen anywhere. It happened at the WBC. Sure, it could have happened in spring training, yada, yada, yada. The bottom line is, Edwin Diaz, who's not only a $100 million asset for the New York Mets, he is the heart and soul and identity of that team. He's a guy who shows how you can change, where he gets traded to New York, he kind of stumbles a little bit, and then finds his bearings and becomes just an absolute murderer in the ninth inning, right? Even the game he gets hurt and goes with Puerto Rico, he strikes out the side. He's incredible. And for him to go down now for this meaningless tournament and see what the ripple effect has happened, it is sickening to me. It really is. There's no other way to put it. So anyone who's defending this tournament that is useless and literally borderline unwatchable, when you have a big game, for example, yesterday, a big game. United States is playing Venezuela in a elimination game, and they bring in Daniel Bard, who literally doesn't even know how to throw a baseball at this point, in the biggest inning of the game. It's because no one cares. No one cares about this team. No one cares about this tournament. It's an absolute joke. And in my comments and all over the sports world, you have these weirdos who are trying to push this weird agenda that the World Baseball Classic is like amazing and it like means a lot of things. It doesn't mean a thing. I'm going to read you a direct quote from one of the people who commented on my video. This guy at Carlo, Karlo, Tabe. Swear to God, this is a direct quote. He says, "The WBC is the baseball equivalent of the Soccer World Cup. Many players say they'd rather win the WBC over the World Series." Now, the first part of that, let's address that, the World Cup scenario. The World Cup is one of the most watched events in the world, period, no matter if it's a sporting event or other. Okay, we're talking about the World Baseball Classic that no one even knew was on during the NCAA tournament. So that's the first thing. You got half of the Americans not even playing because they don't care. Half of the pitchers in general all over the world don't even care because they want to save their arms for the real season, okay? And then the second half of this quote, which is, many players say they'd rather win the WBC over the World Series. I originally thought this guy was really out of his mind, but then I heard a couple quotes from players, including Francisco Lindor, who he's always rubbed me the wrong way. Always rubbed me the wrong way. He says, direct quote, I understand. He's talking about Diaz. He says, "I understand how Mets fans are hurting. But while for so many people the regular season is what counts, playing the WBC is just as important to all of us." If I was a Mets fan, if I especially had a Lindor jersey, I would not only burn the jersey, I would want him off the team right now. That is one of the most pathetic quotes I've ever seen in my life. And you'd think all these guys who keep talking about how important this is, their teams keep losing, and they don't lack talent. So, I mean, if it was this important, you'd think they would do better. You'd think Puerto Rico would have advanced. You'd think all these things, right? So you got that. You got Manny Machado, who I like, saying, he's on the record saying that the WBC means more to him than the league and the World Series. Well, guess what, bud? I know this is a team sport, but maybe I wonder why you haven't won and why when you were with the Dodgers, it was a complete disaster. You weren't Johnny Hustle. It's because of things like this. If you are an actual professional baseball player and your priorities are so twisted that this useless, non-ratings, bullshit exhibition tournament means more to you than winning the World Series, I can't even fathom it. And if I was a GM, if I was an owner, I wouldn't pay you a cent. I would not pay you a cent. If you care as a fan about the WBC as much as these players are claiming to, if you are trying to perpetuate this idea that this is important, you are nothing else than just a genuine nerdy boner. There's no other way to put it. I mean, anyone trying to defend this sport in terms of this tournament is truly a moron. They're lost, or they're trying to there's a conspiracy theory. They're trying to push this for rate. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, this is why I struggle with baseball, and I love baseball. It's my favorite sport. The reason why there's so many issues with baseball is because they keep doing things that the actual fans don't care about. Okay, and they keep trying to push things that these ancillary pieces, these weird fans that are the 1% that they care about. And another thing, if you are one of these people who's trying to act like me for bashing the WBC is like an ethical or moral thing, and that I'm a bad guy because of this, you need to see a therapist. You need to figure yourself out and see a therapist. This tournament means absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. If you're one of these guys like you're Lindor, and you know damn well that you're playing for a team with a fan base that has such a rich history of just being let down, but at the same time rooting so hard and passionately, you have an owner paying you. You broke the record for the biggest contract as a shortstop when you had no business getting it. Let's call it how it is. Francisco Lindor, you've done nothing. I don't care if you put up good numbers, so to speak, and you had a decent year last year. Fuck you. If you do that shit where you're going to act like this WBC is not a big deal that Diaz gets hurt and that everyone should grow up because it's just, oh, you know what? His wife comes out and says how like people need to realize that these are human beings. No. I get it. You're getting paid $100 million, bro, if you're Edwin Diaz. And I don't have any issue with Diaz. I'm really upset for him. I feel bad for him because I know he wants it. He wants to become the alpha dog in New York and win a chip. I know he does. And that's why, like, for all the stuff when I know a lot of Yankees fans dislike Mets fans and vice versa, no, I fucking love Edwin Diaz. The ridiculousness talking about how the Trumpets is better than Enter Sandman is ridiculous. But to see him go down that way, and for Steve Cohen he's got the money to not care about it, but the bottom line is you give this guy $100 million. Now it's in jeopardy a little bit. It's just upsetting to me. Now you have Trey Turner. Hits a grand slam, I guess. No one's watching because we have the NCAA, again, the NCAA tournament is on during this. They think people are going to tune into this. And I get it that the stadium is packed because you got a lot of foreign fans in Miami who want to watch it. Great, it's fun. But you have Trey Turner hits a go-ahead grand slam, apparently. I have the TikTok clips and comments of these like 10-year-old kids or whoever the fuck knows who they are trying to act like this is one of the best moments in baseball history. I'm sorry, you're lost. You're truly lost. And then you got Ken Rosenthal in the postgame on the field interviewing Trey Turner, and he has the balls to ask him if this is the best moment of his career. Trey Turner was so taken back by that because he understands this is meaningless. Okay, he understands that this was just another moment in his life that doesn't even matter, that he had to qualify it and go, I mean, as home runs go, it's up there. It's one because he knows it's fucking ridiculous. If this was a big game, you're not putting in Daniel Bard. If you're America, if you're the United States of America, and this is a baseball tournament, to show your dominance as a power. Again, this is America's pastime, okay? You have a lethal lineup that, honestly, half these guys that are playing in the tournament probably are just playing because it's a little interesting, right? You have their entire pitching staff. No one knows anyone if you're a casual fan. Someone like me knows everyone is pitching, but the point is that in the I think it was the seventh inning, I rewatched the game this morning because I wanted to talk about this so badly that I needed to break it down. I think it was the seventh inning or sixth inning, I'm forgetting. You go ahead and you put in Daniel Bard, who, I mean, we all have seen it over the last couple of years, and specifically in this tournament I've seen it. This guy has no clue what he's doing. He's lost his mechanics. He's gotten a little bit in his head. You put him in the. I mean, imagine if this was not even forget about the playoffs in the MLB. If this was just like a meaningful September game, and for example, the Yankees had Daniel Bard on their team, who clearly the fans would have already gotten on because I mean he doesn't know how to throw a baseball anymore, and you put him in a 2-run game in the seventh inning in a big maybe game to lock a division down, it would be front page like complete crazy news for the next couple of days about how Aaron Boone this and that. But no one cares about this tournament. So, yeah, throw him in because they got no one else. Throw him in, okay? The kid on the Brewers looked electric last night. But again, it's just really upsetting to me how this has gone, how this has played out. And I'm so happy after this is done, I'm never going to have to hear about this ever again for 4 more fucking years. And I just know that it's going to continue to grow a little bit by little bit every year in terms of these people, these weirdos who are going to come out and say how important it is. It means nothing. Bottom line, nothing. And so that's my WBC rant because I fucking had enough. I really have had enough. Now let's get to the tournament quickly. A lot of games obviously have transpired that I haven't been able to speak on because this is the first time since it started that I've talked about the tournament. But a couple good games are coming to mind. Actually, the last game I watched in completion was the second game of today, of Sunday, which was Kansas State, Kentucky. What a game. I mean, that point guard on Kansas State is so electric to watch. New York City kid, 5'8". And that's probably generous because of the listings. So, I mean, to see him with the nifty and the flashy passes, Iron Eagle calling the game, they pulled out late. He's draining threes that are hitting the ceiling and dropping down. Awesome. And I like Coach Cal. I actually picked Kentucky to win, but midway through the game, I was just like, I have to root for Kansas State. It reminds me of those Frank Martin teams back in the day that I used to love so much. So, amazing game in that regard. Yeah, clearly Arizona and Purdue. Let me tell you about Purdue, and I said this on my last podcast. Watching them play Penn State in the Big Ten tournament, I knew that team wasn't going anywhere, and I picked them to lose early. Not this early, but obviously not going down to a 16 seed. But to watch them just completely fold during the press against Penn State was just absolutely mind-blowing to me. And then you have 7'4" Zach Edey, who honestly, they had a whole like pregame documentary style little clip about him and how he's like a warrior and all this shit. He was scared shitless in the end of that game, along with the rest of the team. I mean, if I was Painter, who I've never liked as a coach, I feel like his teams choke all the time, and the last time they didn't really choke and they went deep is because they had Jaden Ivey, the king, last year. To see that team fold, no one wanted to take a shot. Everyone was just passing the ball around the oh god, it was hard to watch. He's Zach 87-4. He's getting the ball. It's just knocking off his hands. He's getting smacked around by guys who were half his size. I mean, the average height on that Fairleigh Dickinson team was 6'1.5". You have the biggest man in the entire collegiate game right now, 7'4". What's going on here? I mean, come on. So that was tough to watch. That was very tough to watch. And yeah, I mean, my bracket's still alive, but it's like, it's just not doing well because a lot of I had Kennesaw State going 2 rounds. They choked completely. I had Miami, and I have them in my Final Four, and Drake completely choked. I mean, Miami was trying to lose that game so badly. Wong, who I loved last year, and to be fair, because I just started watching college basketball for this year a few weeks ago, I didn't even realize that McGusty and Moore and the 7-footer Australian kid, that they weren't even on the team anymore. They all graduated. So I picked this team really just off of Wong, Isaiah Wong, and he was scared, man. He couldn't do a thing. He was blowing layups, and it all culminated with him like slipping in the paint, and then they just benched him for a while. I don't know how that shit happens. I love the Miami coach though. So we're gonna see what happens. A lot of great games tonight. I'm so excited for the Miami-Indiana game. Another thing I'll talk about quickly is Texas and Penn State. Obviously, I went to Penn State. If you know me, I didn't really know much about the team prior to the last couple weeks as well. They were really fun to watch. They should have won, or they should have at least had a better chance to win the Purdue game in the Big Ten Championship, and they kind of fizzled and choked with the walks at the end. Similar thing here with Texas. Texas they really didn't impress me. Besides Isu, or whatever the fuck his name is, I mean, dropping basically a 30-piece when he averages 8 a game. He was just shooting baby hooks over the short Penn State team the whole game. Killed them. Absolutely killed them, right? And but Penn State hung around. That kid Winter and I'm forgetting the other kid's name. The kid Winter and Dredd. Winter and Dredd should have just taken every shot that game because Funk was garbage. Pickett was choking. I mean, how do you turn the ball over like 50 million times in the biggest game of your career? Jesus Christ. That hurt. And then to have that backcourt when you're down, I think 3, or they were down 5, I think, with a minute with the ball, and you inbound the ball into the backcourt, and then miscommunication, and they get caught up for a backcourt violation. Similar to the walks from the Purdue Big Ten Championship, I mean, you can't have that happen. Those are 2 complete chokes, and honestly, it'll be really sad if Penn State's coach leaves, if he gets poached and he gets taken to Georgetown, which I've heard from a bunch of different people, or just elsewhere. And now that obviously Patino, who I'm so excited is with the Johnnies right now, signed to them literally the second the clock hit 0 on the UConn Iona game. He literally inked his contract with St. John's. We love it. But now that he's not going to Georgetown, I got to imagine that Shrewsbury, or whatever the fuck his last name is gonna, even though his son is gonna be at Penn State, I think he's probably as good as gone, which has always been puzzling to me. I've always said this. You have Penn State, powerhouse program in football, clearly. Never can recruit well with the inner city Philly kids or just Pennsylvania kids in general, or the area. Never. This team never has a good team basketball-wise, because I guess you got Temple taking them, Nova taking them, a bunch of different programs stealing them away, even just a bunch of different teams. But I thought this might have been a little bit of a switch up where now like the coach instills this nice, people want to be here and they start recruiting well, but he's going to be probably gone. So that's a shame. And that's pretty much it about, I'm not going to really go too into detail about March Madness. It's just amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch. It's like heroin. You sit down Thursday at noon and you don't stop until 10, 11, 12 a.m. Monday morning or Sunday night, however you want to look at it. It is the best. It's just the best in sports because not only do you get that nonstop wall-to-wall action, but there is this, even with college football, it's not the same. With college basketball, you can see in real time these kids who are not professionals. They're good enough to watch and be entertained by, but they're not professionals. Some of them rising up, making the shots and the moments of their lives that are going to define their lives forever, or the opposite, like Clark on Virginia, who makes a 1 in a billion play in the worst way possible, and now he's going to think about that play for the rest of his life, which is crazy to me, that for the rest of his life, he's not going to be a professional. Rest of his life, he's going to walk around, he's going to wake up on a Saturday when he's 55, and he's going to go, why did I make that pass? And that's really interesting to me. But you have these kids, you can see these teams melt or rise up. You have, I'm trying to think of a positive scenario like this. The kid who drills the three on Furman. I know they're out now, but the kid who drills the three on Furman to win the game, right? When you see that kid now is going to walk into every other facet of his life with the utmost confidence, even if he doesn't go pro, even if he doesn't play overseas, if he just becomes an accountant now. Every little piece of adversity, he's going to go, you know what? I drilled a shot to beat a team where we were huge underdogs for the nation to see and be replayed by. I could do anything, right? So that's fucking amazing. I love that shit. So tournaments have been amazing. I mean, how could it not be? From, I guess, now moving forward, who do I like? I'm going to be honest, and I know matchups are everything, but Tennessee, even if they're missing their guard, Tennessee beating up Duke was something else. And they're going to be a tough out. I'm trying to think of who they play next, but they're going to be an absolute tough out. So that's going to be an exciting watch. Oh, they're going to walk, I think. I believe they're playing the winner of FAU and the 16. So they're going to have a really good chance. I mean, if Marquette survives this Michigan State matchup, it's going to be an interesting end of that little corner of the bracket. So that's a team that really impressed me. Alabama looks like they're just really, really ready to go because even when they didn't have it last night, they still figured a way to pull it out. Miller looked incredible in the second half. I thought the Zags looked all right. I thought Texas, even though, again, they beat Penn State like that, I'm not as impressed as everyone else. Everyone seems to be like drooling over them. Not that impressed. Showed a lot of guts on Houston's end where they have a lot of guys who are banged up and they're down by 10 at half against Auburn. And I know Auburn chokes. They missed like 30 free throws at the end of that game. But to win that game the way they did, and I just love the idea of Jim Nance, Houston alum, his last tournament. You got Houston, overall 1 seed. I love Sampson. I like that team a lot. Miami probably stands no chance. I know I took them to get to the Final Four. I just can't see that happening, but anything's possible. And so that's the tournament. Let's ease up and go to football quickly, and then we're gonna move on. So and be done because I want to catch the end of this game. So football, right? You got the huge Rodgers news, very, very exciting. They signed Alan Lazard, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Sure, they keep flashing the stat of how he has the highest percentage of catches for touchdowns in the NFL for the last like 3 or 4 years. Okay, sick. But he's a great piece. He's going to be a good addition, way better than Corey Davis, clearly. I mean, you can't do worse than Corey Davis in terms of dropping the ball last year. But I don't love his attitude. Kind of cocky, kind of like burned the bridge with Green Bay. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I didn't like the way he left. And then, yeah. But it's definitely a vote of confidence for Rodgers, especially if Jets fans are worried about maybe Rodgers that this falling through. It's not going to fall through. And Lazard with the team is nice. And then you got the OBJ rumors, which are really exciting. I don't know if I'm a Jets fan if I'd want OBJ, not because he wouldn't. I mean, do we need the distraction? Probably not, honestly. Probably not. They got a great receiving core now. You got Elijah Moore. You cut Davis. You obviously have Garrett Wilson, my favorite. Now you add Lazard. If they draft this Notre Dame tight end, they got a really amazing offensive tight end now. I know the kid out of Ohio State who I wasn't too privy to, hopefully will develop, but Not a great pass catcher. And then yeah, Breece Hall coming back. He got a bunch of different situations with that. So I mean, yeah, I'm very excited about the offense. Got to lock up Rodgers. Hopefully he stays a couple years. And they're going to be a Super Bowl contender out the gate. I'm so excited to watch them on prime time many times this year. Have all the NFL buzz about them. I can flip on ESPN now or flip on NFL Network. I take that back about ESPN because I can't stand ESPN. But I can flip on Fox Sports, whatever channel. And the Jets are going to be on national coverage. It's going to be awesome. So that's what you got there. The Darren Waller trade to the Giants, or the pickup, whatever you want to call it, is fucking awesome. I love Darren Waller. Down year last year, but who knows what's going on with him. Physical specimen, badass, and that's exactly who they need. Daniel Jones needs weapons. Him making some of these guys like heroes at the end of the year isn't how you're going to win in reality. So to get a guy like Waller is huge. There's a couple other guys in the market. I mean, if now the Cowboys just signed Brandon Cooks, if you're the Giants, I think it's a better fit for the Giants to take OBJ back. You got OBJ and Waller, and yeah, I think that'd be better. So that's that. I don't think any other football like free agency moves have gone on since. Yeah, so we're just gonna leave it off there. I'm gonna get back to the tournament, and actually, last thing, I'll talk about the Yankees quickly. Optioning Dominguez and having him start the year at AAA or even maybe AA, I'm forgetting, is a joke. I mean, come on now. We just watched Aaron Hicks again. I made a comment about Aaron Hicks letting balls drop in front of him. He looked like he was clueless. If you've seen the Volpe video where Volpe is in shallow left field and he has a pop-up, easy money, and I understand when the outfielder calls you off, it's his ball. For Hicks to be sprinting in on a ball he has no business catching, call off Volpe, who's, again, a rookie. What's he going to do? And if he would have held his ground and not kind of let Hicks do his thing, I would have bought his jersey right then and there. But it is what it is. I can understand why he did that. To see Hicks jump in, and I know it's a spring training, but who cares? Jump in, dive, and miss that ball. He's lost. Caught him. Caught Aaron Hicks. It's a joke. It's a joke. And then you got Donaldson batting 196. He's batting 196. Yeah, so I'm not trying to harp on the Yankees right now, though. It's too much. So we got UConn going on. They just recently started. And then you got, again, St. Mary's. And then, obviously, I'm going to be getting to the second half of Marquette versus Michigan State. Let's hope Shaka can pull it out. And then, yeah, we got things are looking up, baby. It's the spring now. We're going to have the second leg of the tournament next weekend. So you got the Sweet 16 and forward. Baseball's heating up, okay? Make it clear, no one cares about the fucking WBC, but we got baseball heating up a couple of weeks, until first pitch of opening day. And you got OTAs and football down the road. You got basketball finally coming to a head in terms of the NBA. You got what else you got? You got hockey, the NHL playoffs, some of my favorite watches to get involved with in playoffs. So awesome shit. Let's get on to the next one. Johnny Kith out. And yeah, catch you very soon. Bye-bye.